Welcome to the Vale Downland Museum. This short film explores the landscape beneath our feet to discover how it has influenced the natural and the man-made world around us. The Vale of the White Horse forms a distinct and dramatic landscape. On a clear day, it can be seen almost in its entirety from the highest point, at White Horse Hill. Chalk ridges, Clay Vale, the Corallian Ridge and the Oxford Clay of the Thames Valley beyond all run roughly parallel across the view, reflecting the geological history of the Vale. This rich landscape has evolved over the last 190 million years, as the sea alternately covered, then receded from the land. Deposits of limestone, clay, sand and chalk were left, and with erosion over time, these layers have been exposed to form the surface we see today. Each area has its own special characteristics, which have had a direct influence on life in the Vale. The weathering of a thin layer of younger sandstone, which once covered the chalk, has left behind boulders known as sarsens, which can still be seen in their natural state in front of Ashdown House. This recent downland stone has been used for some of its oldest monuments, such as here at Wayland's Smithy, a stone-chambered tomb built 4,500 years ago. Others form the boundary of Lambourne Churchyard. Whilst sarsens have been incorporated into the local building tradition and can be seen as footings for many a chalk wall and house, as at Ashbury, or in bands with flint, brick or chalk, or dressed as stone blocks, as here again at Lambourne. The downland turf is ideal for training racehorses, where local stable yards are home to many a Grand National and Derby winner. John Betjeman, poet laureate who lived in the Vale for many years, captured the spirit of the downland in his poem. The edge of the chalk downland is often too steep for modern cultivation, and it's here that pockets survive of the characteristic downland flora and fauna. Cowslips, orchids, and the chalk hill blue butterfly, while skylarks, once abundant, still sing as they fly high in the air. From the underlying chalk, the harder layers of rock have been quarried all along the downs, cut into blocks, and used to build houses like these at Ashbury and Uffington. Being porous, chalk will shatter with frost, so it's used together with other materials for building and is protected by overhanging eaves. At Kingston Lisle, ammonites from the chalk have been incorporated into the wall of this cottage, whilst building chalk rubble was chosen for many a vast chimney stack, as here at the museum. Flints, recovered from seams in the upper layers of the chalk, were collected locally by prehistoric people and worked into everyday tools. Resistant to weather, flints have been used to face local houses and churches, or combined with cut stone to form a checker pattern, as at East Hendred Church. Beneath the chalk, the green sand forms a shelf which is renowned for its fruit orchards, particularly cherries, around Harwell. In former years, fruit pickers would come down from London for the annual picking holiday. Under the chalk and green sand, the impervious galt clay forces the water out at the foot of the downs as springs. Villages developed along this spring line, with the springs supplying the village pond, country house lake, former watercress beds, or to power the mill. The layer of Gault clay, together with the older Kimmeridge clay, both formed in seas from fine silts of ancient river estuaries, have given rise to the heavy soils of the Vale, which are liable to winter flooding. Local clay was baked into bricks and tiles from Roman times. In the 17th century, brick became fashionable once again. Kilns throughout the Vale, such as this one at Challow, satisfied the demand for this popular new material. Many buildings had their original timber framework enhanced by the use of brick. It was found that by adding a bundle of twigs to the kiln, the intense heat would melt the brick surface, creating a dark blue glaze. These bricks were used to form a decorative effect. Towards the north, the sandy limestone of the Corallian forms a ridge through Fanningdon to Cumnor and is the remains of an ancient coral reef. Stone from a quarry like this one was used for the buildings in Stanford in the Vale, half a mile away. This limestone ridge contains a mixture of soils, some of which are low in nutrients. On the sandy areas, extensive woods are carpeted with bluebells in spring, while the heathland and fenland display a rich variety of flora. The River Thames forms the northern boundary of the Vale as it flows across the Oxford clay, passing water meadows of Snake's Head fritillaries that flower in spring. Reaching Abingdon, the river gathers strength on its journey southwards. During the early 19th century, the development of canals and railways brought new possibilities to the Vale for building materials. Cirencester stone and Bath stone were brought to Wantage for the convent, the Rose Window at St Mary's School, and King Alfred's Grammar School, and limestone tiles from the Cotswolds for the roof. Today, transport has improved to such an extent that the selection of building materials is no longer governed by local availability, but by cost. This is reflected in the many varied modern buildings constructed today. Likewise, the flora and fauna of the Vale are continually changing for many reasons. Danish scurvy grass, for example, has recently colonized the salty roadside verges, its seeds being carried on the wheels of lorries travelling from the coast. From the Thames in the north to the chalk of the Downland in the south, the Vale of the White Horse holds a rich heritage beneath our feet. As we travel through the countryside, the towns and the villages of the Vale, we see the landscape forever reflected in its buildings and wildlife.